Ain't no one can stop it, yeah, you know I'm going up. I feel like Giannis. Hold up, let's be honest. Need the bucks and all the comments. Perfect timing when I'm shining. They be mad that I'm still grinding. When they switch and I'm still solid. Getting paper like it's college. Or like on a pilot. Shorty mad cause now I'm popping. Ain't no way that I can stop it. Spread my wings and now I'm flying. Hit the slide and now I'm gliding. They so shocked that I didn't find it. How they not know what the time is when I've been on my go talk. Rappers want my feature but they always tryna lowball. I done picked it up just like a phone call. Wonder why I'm hot, got a cold heart. And I'm on it go, 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 go. Whoa, 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 whoa. I go paint the picture like Mozart. I've been on my go talk. Lately how I'm coming, I got no flaws. They just wanna stop me but I won't pause. The flow like the go wall. I know that they wanting what I got, let them rock, yeah. I tell them go get it when it's hot, don't stop, yeah. I've been down 10 since the drop. I've been heating up, I'm getting hot, got a pot, yeah. I'm gonna be a millionaire, I've been going silly, yeah. Top won't be the ceiling for me, thought that I'ma see you there. Glad that I went got the bag, it's alright, I never care. I won't get the last laugh, you won't see me everywhere. They just mad to see that I could really be about it. All these rats and these racks, they see I be stylish. Started at the bottom, now the boy is on the rising. Haters going silent, ain't no one can stop it. I've been on my go talk. Rappers want my feature, but they always tryna lowball. I done picked it up just like a phone call. Wonder why I'm hot, got a cold heart. And I'm on it go, 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 go. Whoa, 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 whoa. I go paint the picture like Mozart. I've been on my go talk. Lately how I'm coming, I got no flaws. They just wanna stop me, but I won't pause. The flow like the go wall.
People in your circle will just get to the bluffing. Yeah, they always switch sides, so I can't do the loving. No, I can't do the loving, so they always switch sides, so I can't do the loving. You know, do the dash now, ayy. So I started from nothing. I got money on my mind and I know that it's coming. I know people switch sides, so I can't do the loving. When you down, they won't ride, everybody just bluffing. Now they hitting on my line, cause they see how I'm coming. And I'm finally doing fine, I've been counting these hundreds. And my baby gon' ride, she is not with the front. So I put in overtime, but look what I'm becoming. You can look me in my eyes, don't believe all the judging. So I do this for my people, we the best, you know. I got lots of problems, I'm stressed, you know. I'm just praying for the days, I'm counting decimals. I've been riding with my brothers, for the rest they hold. I'm knowing I'ma make it, I just gotta be patient. I come from nothing, now I'm about to make a statement. Bitches probably want me, but they can't even face it. Ayy, no, they can't even face it. So my brother's about to make it out the basement. If she for me, then she know there's no replacement. I be outside, she see that I'm dripping, little baby know that I'm fly. No love for my city, who thought I'd make it this high? I know they all fake and the real in disguise. I've been through the most, I'm holding all this pain inside. These bitches would dump me, now I don't really gotta try. I'm stuck in all my habits, but I gotta have it. Spend a couple bands on a jacket. All this money on me, I keep stacking. Why do y'all acting? Why do y'all capping? Can't really say much, but I'm back up on my bullshit. You don't got it from my brothers, they with the movement. Keep your shit blunt, you cross it, someone get ruthless. I don't got time for no drama, that shit is useless. Got no time for no bullshit, no time for a bitch. If you keep it real, best believe I never switch on you. All the money in the world, I won't switch on you. I could get you all the pearls, diamond splits on you. If I got the whole world, I'd be missing you. I could drip you in our money and Da Vinci too. But the labels always calling cause we making moves. I ain't stopping till I got it and I swear that shit true. So my brother's about to make it out the basement. If she for me, then she know there's no replacement. I been outside, she see that I'm dripping, little baby know that I'm fly. No love for my city, who thought I'd make it this high? I know they all fake and the real in disguise. I've been through the most, I'm holding all this pain inside. These bitches would dump me, now I don't really gotta try. They gon' hate you when you down and I swear that shit true. They gon' hate you when you down and I swear that shit true. They gon' hate you when you down, but we still making moves. Yeah, yeah. You know the dash now, ayy.
Stay on my cell phone, tryna block you out. Wonder why you still here, get out of my house. Keep touching on me, I'm a lot of rounds. Guess I go one more, only if you bounce. I don't mean to be rude, I'm just being honest. You asked for the truth, I can't make a promise. We could be through, but you don't wanna stop this. Love is the rules, can't find one true. It's getting late, I said too much. Look at me strange, I'll be too blunt. I'm easy to hate said too much. Look at me strange, I be too blunt. I'm easy to hate, I'm hard to love. But you love me anyway, or is it lies? Said I be in bed, I'm wide awake. Tracing my steps, get my new mistakes. We had a drink, but one turn date, yeah. I call it fun, why'd you say it was fate? I don't mean to be rude, I'm just being honest. You asked for the truth, I can't make a promise. We could be through, but you don't wanna stop this. Love is the rules, can't find one true. It's getting late, I said too much. Look at me strange, I be too blunt. I'm easy to hate, I'm hard to love. But you love me anyway, or is it lies? It's getting late, I said too much. Look at me strange, I be too blunt. I'm easy to hate, I'm hard to love. But you love me anyway, or is it lies? Strange, I be too blunt. I'm easy to hate, I'm hard to love. But you love me anyway, or is it lies? It's getting late, I said too much. Look at me strange, I be too blunt. I'm easy to hate, I'm hard to love. But you love me anyway, or is it lies?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Brian Mansell Show. I'm your host, Brian Mansell, and I'm a sports media professional who's run in this industry now for a couple years, and today we're going to talk about a bunch of different topics. Again, this show doesn't stick to just one or two sports. We stick to every sport. We like to give everything a little check out. As you can see below, our ticker has now been updated with the latest MLB information as well as some hockey information, since the NHL regular season has already started and the NBA is also just right around the corner. To start off today's topics, the Astros last night were able to pull off a big victory over the Twins to take a 2-1 lead in the series. We'll go over the ins and outs of why that happened, why Sonny Gray got lit up, and much more. Texas has completed the sweep on the Baltimore Orioles, and they're going to the American League Championship Series for the first time since 2011. Absolutely incredible performance, I have to say, from Texas. Very dominant. They haven't lost a single game yet in this postseason. Can they continue that trend? And could they possibly win the World Series now? I'll discuss that. NHL's opening night was last night, which featured the arrival of Connor Bedard, the star rookie who they're touting to be the next closest thing to Wayne Gretzky. We'll see what he did last night against those Penguins. The Falcons did make a trade yesterday for Van Jefferson, giving up a couple late-round picks, but they needed another wideout to help out Desmond Ridder. So we're going to get an answer and see why the Falcons made that trade and understand the Rams' logic as to why they stopped using him so much and made him available for the trade. And to close out, as we have for the most of the week, we're going to be going into wrestling again. I warned you guys yesterday, I may not go into wrestling right now, because I wasn't sure how NXT was going to go yesterday. Apparently, I was severely wrong. NXT was complete madness. There was so much that happened that I felt like my brain was completely fried. So we got to go over some of that for sure. And, can AEW now stand a chance against WWE after what NXT just did? But and that'll just be the topics for the show. Before we go any further, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to us here on YouTube, and if you're watching this on Twitch, please give us a follow. It really goes a long way in helping us grow the channel. It really does. It does a lot of good for us. So please, if you can, please subscribe or follow the channel to keep up with all of our latest streams and everything we do. Like today, we're going to be doing this is actually very interesting. Today, we're going to be doing a play-by-play stream for the AL for one of the baseball games. I still haven't decided yet the exact game, but I'm definitely going to be moving things around to make it work. So for today's games, they were shifted around a little bit for baseball, I believe. So now there's no 205 game anymore, 207 game. It's now a 507, a 707, and a 907. If I'm correct, that's what they did. So I'm going to double check and update that because last night when I loaded it up, that apparently it changed. So let me make that quick update now here on the ticker. Let's see. Yes, Arizona's still 907. The game now for Houston is no longer at 207. It's at 7:07 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. 7:07 Astros Twins. 5:07 on TBS Braves Phillies, and 9:07 p.m. Eastern TBS Dodgers Diamondbacks. So let's talk about this a little bit. Go into a few details. That's what we need to do. We need to go into a few details. Let's start. So first, right, the Astros last night took a big win over those Twins, those pesky little Twins, and it wasn't pretty. I'll say that much. It wasn't a pretty sight, but it was done. Fact of the matter is they got the results they wanted. They reached their outcome, and as a result, they ended up winning the game. And now they have a chance to close it out in Minnesota and take the series 3-1. Let's go into a detail of how we got to that point, right? Let's talk about it. I think a lot did happen yesterday that's going to, register why we went that far. But I'm going to try my best to do highlights here. I'm pretty sure we're going to get flagged on YouTube for this, but who cares? We're going to have to pull it off anyway. It's what I want to do, so we're going to do this. If they're not okay with it, they can deal with it. But here we go. So we reached the top of the first. This is how it all went down. So we're starting here. Astros and Twins. Sonny Gray taking the mound in a big game for them. First guy up is Altuve. Altuve hits it up the gap already on base. Can't have that happen. Here comes the next pitch to Bregman, and Bregman ends up striking out. Alvarez comes up to the plate, and Alvarez gets right by the first baseman. So Altuve is going pretty far. He makes it to third. He's going to stop at third before going home. All because it went right around the corner of that bag. And then Tucker comes up, gets a big-time hit, scores a run, moves Alvarez to third. And it's first and third now for the Houston Astros. And then a big hit from Abreu gives them a 4-1 lead. And it turned the game around and upside down. There was never an answer from the Twins the rest of the game. Christian Javier, who had been struggling this year, not been having his best stuff, he really showed out in this one. He really proved what it takes yesterday to be a playoff baseball team, and he was on full display. You just need to play strong and well, and that's exactly what they did. Second and third here, though, in the first inning with one out. They needed something else. There's your strikeout you needed on Royce Lewis. Now comes Correa looking to get a big hit against his former team. And he also strikes out on a riser. So now Gray back to the mound. Bregman at the plate. Bregman, good swing on this one. And this one was going to be out of there. Another homer. And now the Astros have a massive 5-0 lead. They were never able to knock it off there. Gray struggled very hard on the mound yesterday. I did predict y'all yesterday that the one guy who was likely going to have issues was going to be Sonny. So they did end up pulling him in the fifth inning. And Pagan had to come in to relieve him. 5-0 lead again, and they get out of the fifth. But in the bottom of the fifth, you see Javier. They're having discussions with him as Polanco comes up to the plate. I don't believe that's Jorge. I believe that's Gregory Polanco. So we got bases loaded here. This is the best situation Twins could be in, but there's a strikeout that they couldn't afford. They got one. And now comes Royce Lewis again. Lewis went for it. He swung. He missed. Javier gets out of the jam. Bregman back up the plate in the sixth on Maeda. And pretty much the rest of the game, it was the same situation. Astros kept scoring, a little bit here, a little bit there. The Twins finally got on the board thanks to a good hit from Castro that would score Correa. And it was about a 6-1 game, and then a double play happens, and that ends it. So now you go to the top of the ninth. The score is 6-1. Another pitch to Alvarez. Maybe the advice isn't working here. How about try not to pitch to Yordan Alvarez because he's going to take your yard every single time. What a swing. What a beauty of a shot that was. Home run for Houston. And then Abreu up again, and he hits another big one. And now the Twins are up, and they are going to have to try and come back in some kind of way. They couldn't do it. The Astros end up winning this one 9-1. Abreu with 2 homers of his own. Now, going into the game, I did mention, if there's one guy on that team who knows how to hit on Sonny Gray, it was Jose Abreu. And Abreu definitely showed it. 2 hits in the game in 5 at-bats. He scored 5 RBIs on his own, and he had 2 homers. Both of his hits were homers. So he really showed out and showed his best stuff, and that's what helped the Astros go over the top. Without Abreu stepping up, they probably don't win this game, personally. Because that's the momentum you needed was from Jose, who's been in a slump all year. He finally got the big moment and went yard on him to help the Astros take a 2-1 lead. This is exactly what they needed, and they got it. They got it. Now, let's cut back to here for a second and go over a little bit of the box score. As we go through the box score on this one, just a reminder, the Astros and Twins do play again tonight, 7:07 Eastern on FS1. Twins still home. The pitching matchup's going to be Jose Urquidy versus Ryan. If I'm correct, that's Joe Ryan. Yes, Joe Ryan will be on the mound for the Twins, who hasn't been having the best year. He's up against Jose Urquidy, who also has been having an underwhelming year. So, 2 underwhelming pitchers facing off to try and force a Game 5. Twins are trying to force a Game 5. Astros trying to win it with Urquidy. Let's see if the Twins can extend this series any further. But again, let's go over the box score from yesterday's games. Real quick here with the Astros and the Twins. Important to note, in that first, as you saw, 4 runs were scored by the Astros. And they kept pouring it on. It was at 1.6-0 before the Twins would put on their first run in the 6th inning. Final score was once again 9-1. Astros victory. 9 runs, 14 hits, no errors. And for the Twins, 1 run on 3 hits and 1 error. The pitching stats to know. Gray only made it 4 innings. After those 4 innings, he had to be pulled. Gave up 4 earned runs, 5 total runs on 8 hits. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, and 2 homers. Gray did not have a good day. He got hammered, and it was on full display. Christian Javier, on the other hand, had himself a field day. No runs, 1 hit, 5 walks, 9 strikeouts, no homers through 5. He gave them exactly what they were looking for, despite the fact he had an issue with some balls yesterday. Then they put Brown in to relieve him. He gave up a run, 2 hits, 1 walk. Not a big deal when you're up so high. Pagan did a good job in relief. Maeda came in. Maeda struggled. In 2 innings, he gave up a run on 2 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Then they put in Ober to replace him. And Ober was not much better. He was actually significantly worse. 3 earned runs on 4 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, 2 homers. 38 pitches. Ober definitely added to the bleeding. But overall, Astros bullpen did their job outside of Brown. After Brown let up that 1 run, Abreu, Matone, and Montero did not allow a single hit the rest of the game and had a collective 5 more strikeouts. So what a good game for them. They pitched a great one, the Astros, as a unit, and that's what it took to win. Your most notable batters, yesterday we talked about Jose Abreu having himself a field day. Credit out to Yordan Alvarez as well. 3 hits and 5 at-bats, 1 homer. Alex Bregman had himself a good day too. 2 hits and 5 at-bats with 2 RBIs and a homer. Struck out twice, but it's not a big deal. Altuve, not his best game, but that's fine. Another one to mention here, Martin Maldonado. 2 hits at 4 at-bats. Also Mauricio Dubon, who I said had been struggling going into this. He got 2 hits and 5 at-bats. That's a good performance for him. The only person who really didn't hit yesterday, I should say really didn't hit well at all, was Yainer Diaz, which is kind of shocking. He's been one of the better hitters this year, and he didn't record a single hit in 5 at-bats. He actually struck out 4 times. And on the Twins side, the only men who registered a hit were 3 guys. Kepler registered a hit, so he went 1 for 4. Correa registered a hit, and he went 1 for 4. And Willie Castro went 1 for 3, it looks like. 1 for 3, 1 RBI, and a walk. They are the only 3 guys who registered a hit yesterday. That cannot happen again today. The Twins need to do something different. So we'll do a quick look at that pitching matchup. I'm pretty sure that the Twins could extend here to a Game 5. But we have to really dive into the pitching matchups and see how each pitcher did this year. So again, the Twins have a good likelihood to win this game, but so they had that same likelihood yesterday, and the Astros won. So I'm not even going off of that. I'll give you off of whatever numbers I have. Let's start with the Twins pitcher, Joe Ryan. 4.51 ERA, 197 strikeouts this year, and a 117 whip. You go into his game log and his bat versus pitch. We're going to use that to determine the career statistics against these guys. We saw how much it affected Jose Abreu yesterday. Cold streak, but he knows how to hit against the Twins and how to hit against Sonny Gray. So it paid off massively. Let's look at what Joe Ryan looks like against these guys. The only person who's giving him a hard time is Yordan Alvarez, who is a 2.86 average against him. 7 at-bats. Had 2 hits in those at-bats. One of them was a homer. He's collected 4 RBIs and 2 strikeouts. Bregman hits well against him. 3 hits in 6 career at-bats. One of them was a double. One of them was a homer with 3 RBIs, 2 walks, and no strikeouts. Another one to watch here was going to be Chas McCormick. Chas McCormick was coming in to replace, if I'm correct, he was coming in to replace Yordan Alvarez yesterday after he had a big game himself. He came in to pinch hit or as a fielder, and I don't think he had that bat, but he's another one who's been hitting well. 7 at-bats, he registers 2 hits, one of them was a homer, 2 RBIs, and struck out 3 times. He's another name to watch. Pena has also registered a hit against him with a 200 average, 1 hit in 5 at-bats. Maldonado's registered a hit, 1 hit in 4 at-bats. Keep an eye also on Jose Altuve, registered 1 hit in his career against Ryan in 5 at-bats. Same thing for Abreu, has registered 1 hit in 5 at-bats against Ryan. It was a double, but he also has 2 RBIs on top of that with a walk and 3 strikeouts. So again, you got to look for the guys who hit well against him. The guys who have never registered a hit against him: Brantley, Hensley, Julks, Jake Myers, Salazar, and Tucker. Tucker has never registered a hit against Joe Ryan. But everybody else I mentioned earlier has registered a hit. Now, this is a good indicator that Ryan has a small sample size against them, so it could easily change. Sonny Gray didn't have a small sample size. It's pretty easy to tell how it would go. So for Ryan, it's small sample size. Nobody had more than 10 at-bats against him in their career. So anything could happen. Things can still change. If you have more than 10 at-bats, it's pretty consistent that the numbers are you're going to register at least 1 hit in the game. Now, Urquidy, not having his best year. 5.29 ERA, 45 strikeouts, 1.43 whip. It feels like this may be a bullpen game. This may be a bullpen game for the Astros. They got to be prepared for that. Man started 16 games this year, so we really got to watch for that big time. Got to watch for it big time. Now, against the Twins, he hasn't faced anybody as well at 10 times either. But he's been good against a good amount of them. Let's look at the guys who he's done the best against. Carlos Correa in 3 at-bats, he's never registered a hit against Urquidy. Ryan Jeffers has never registered a hit against him in 6 at-bats. Another guy who has really struggled against him is Alex Kirilloff. 200 average because he registered 1 hit in 5 at-bats. But other guys who have done pretty well. Kyle Farmer has a hit in 3 at-bats. Kepler, a hit in 3 at-bats, which was a double. And he's also pulled off a walk and never struck out. Royce Lewis faced him once, got a hit once. Jorge Polanco, 1 hit in 3 at-bats. That hit was for a double, and it had an RBI attached to that. Donovan Solano, 2 hits in 3 at-bats. Michael Taylor, 2 hits in both of his at-bats. He registered a hit. He's also got a double on top of that. Right? He's got a double. And that's it. He's never struck out. And then Christian Vasquez, 2 hits in 5 at-bats. One of them was a double, an RBI as well, and he struck out once against him. But Royce Lewis also, 1 hit in his 1 at-bat. So we have guys who have never not gotten a hit on Urquidy. That could change today. Again, Jose could decide he wants to pitch a gem, and things could change, and the Astros win the game and win the series because he decides to step up. And that's very realistic because we've seen it happen before. It happened yesterday. Sonny Gray is absolutely the better pitcher than Christian Javier, but he wasn't yesterday. He had an off game. They took him yard. Jose Abreu and Yordan Alvarez made his life a living hell. And Christian Javier pitched a gem after struggling all year. He really struggled. And Javier is now, he had a scoreless game. In his time pitching, it was scoreless. And now, Urquidy's going to try to do the same today. Now, if I could get his numbers on the last few games, we could try to really establish where he stands. This is his first game he's pitched all postseason. So for Urquidy, it's important to note that the last time he allowed a run was against Baltimore on September 19th. That was his third to last start he had of the year. He also had Kansas City and Arizona, and he also held them to no runs and a collective 2 hits in 9 innings. So he's been very dominant the last couple of games. He got his ERA lower. It's a big thing to watch. The only game that he's allowed, before that though, he had an earned run in 5 consecutive games. Boston on August 23rd, Boston August 28th, the Yankees on September 3rd, San Diego on September 8th, and Baltimore September 19th. The last 2 games he hasn't allowed a run yet. He hasn't allowed a run. So it's important to note that in the last 9 innings pitched, he has not allowed a run, and maybe that trend could continue carrying into the postseason. We don't know. Again, he could play at that same level where he's registering a couple strikeouts, he's allowing very little hits, he's not getting any runs on the board, and he could pitch a gem. But you could also get the Jose Urquidy that was there in San Diego, where on September 8th, he only made it 4 innings because he gave up 5 runs on 4 hits, which included a homer. He had 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and he just completely fell apart, and he collapsed. That could very realistically happen. Urquidy could have that kind of game. But he's been on a good trend. Let's see if that carries over. That's going to bring us to the other baseball game that happened yesterday. The sweep, as we've advertised already here on Twitch. He got swept. We're going to have to talk about that a little bit. I didn't want to do it, but we're going to have to. I don't have a choice here. So here we go. Here's a little bit of a sweep we're going to talk about. Let me pull it up. Actually, let me pull it up. Let me get the video first before we go any further. So, yesterday, Houston, Nathan Eovaldi on the mound. We were talking about it. It's a big game for them. They need to close out the Orioles to go to the ALCS and complete the sweep. So Eovaldi's up at the mound against Baltimore. And already you can see he's getting some good work in. No issues. Eovaldi gets his first strikeout. He's making some good damage here. And he gets out of the jams early. He is making some noise. So now we go to the bottom of the first here. Dylan on the mound. Dean Kremer is on the mound. And Simeon is up first. Pops it up, and that one's going to definitely be fielded by the first baseman and caught. Which brings up Seager. Seager been one of the hottest bats. And he keeps it going right there as he sends that one yard. And gives Texas an early 1-0 lead. Already hitting off Dean Kremer. We were saying going into this postseason that the biggest liability for the Baltimore Orioles is that pitching. And it was on full display yesterday. That pitching was there. And you got to see the talent discrepancy on hand. Adolis Garcia up to bat next. And he bloops one into center. Followed up now by Carter. Comes up and he gets another blooper out to left between the shortstop and the third baseman and moves Garcia to second. So 2 outs, man on first and second. Heim comes up to the plate. He pops it out. They get out of the jam. 2 outs now. Wait, nope, they're in the bottom of the second. They had a man. They had bases loaded. Bottom of the second with 2 outs. Mitch Garver gets a good chop there. That's going to score a couple runs. And that's going to make it a 3-run game for Texas. They're starting to run away with this early, as you see on the cam. What a beautiful, beautiful hit that was. The way he got to hook right in the corner. That's the exact kind of hit you need. Texas takes a 3-0 lead, and Baltimore's already on the ropes. If they weren't before, they definitely are now. But Garcia comes up to the plate again. Oh, and he hammered this. He sent this one going to the second deck. Out of there. 6-0 Texas. It's safe to say this game is out of hand. You would need a complete offensive slug show from the Baltimore Orioles for them to get back in this one. Well, they're going to try. In the top of the fourth, Mountcastle comes up to bat, and he strikes out. 4 strikeouts at this point for Eovaldi. O'Hearn now at the plate. Gets a good little blooper hit to right. And that is going to get him to first with 2 outs. But it doesn't matter because Hayes gets another strikeout. Hayes gets struck out. And that's another one in the record book for Nathan Eovaldi. So we go to the top of the 5th. Henderson coming up. That's going to score a run, that little hit to right. So the Orioles are finally on the board. It's 6-1. Maybe they have a comeback in them. We're going to see Henderson getting things going. Maybe the only guy really performing up to expectations so far in this postseason for the Orioles. And a great slide, too. I'm sure Rutschman definitely took some injuries from that. But now, well, that wasn't Rutschman. But Rutschman right there takes the hit, and he doesn't get anywhere with it, and that's going to be the final out of that one. So Eovaldi gets out of it, even though giving up a run. We're going to the top of the 6th. Eovaldi's still at the mound, and they're still getting outs. Eovaldi making it 2 outs now after Mountcastle couldn't do anything with that one, and O'Hearn goes down. So 1, 2, 3 again. They're now in the bottom 6. Nathaniel Lowe at the plate. He gets a good hold of that one, and he sends it out to right center. And the Texas Rangers take a 7-1 lead. Nathaniel Lowe took a phenomenal cut at this thing, and he got a hold of it. He's like, thank you. Thank you. I nailed it. I needed this. And he got it. He knew it was gone when he did it. Good for him. And Bruce Bochy with the biggest smile on his face, knowing his team is about to go back to the ALCS. Very excited. Eovaldi's still on the mound here in the 7th. And he gets another strikeout registered against Baltimore here. Westberg not the plate. That was the person who hit their face on the scoring run. But it doesn't matter here because Baltimore's even more hurt. Another out. And Eovaldi, that would be his final appearance for that game. They're going to have to go into the bullpen for the next one. But what a showing for him. So Aaron Hicks at the plate here for Baltimore. 7-1 lead for Texas here. Top of the 8th. Bases loaded. 2 outs. They get a little grounder to first. Leclerc is the one who gets out of the jam. And that'll do it right there. Baltimore now down big time. Top of the 9th. 7-1 game. Strikeout. Leclerc. Game over. Series over. Sweep complete. The Texas Rangers are going to the ALCS for the first time since 2011. 7-1 of Eovaldi, your winning pitcher right here. 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, an earned run, and 7 strikeouts. What a great pitch game he had. It wasn't his best showing, don't get me wrong, but he did everything right. Texas got hot in their bats. Eovaldi was consistent and kept them down, and the Rangers complete the sweep. Seager 1 of 2 with a homer and 2 runs. Odolis Garcia with 2 for 4 with a homer and 3 RBIs. Again, a great showing for this team who shows no fight and no quit. No fight and no quit. I mean, I'd say all fight and no quit. My apologies. Great showing for a team that shows all fight and no quit. So let's go a little deeper into the box score, shall we? We already know they took a 6-0 lead after the second at that point, but let's talk about really what went wrong for Baltimore. I said Kremer was probably going to be the best option you had, and you didn't have many options in that bullpen. In that starting rotation. No matter who you went with, it wasn't going to end well. Your ace got rocked in the first game. Your backup got rocked in the second game, and now you're down to your end of the rotation guys. They're not going to do well either, and it was on display yesterday, and the same story happened again. The Rangers came in, blew them up. The Orioles never could mount a comeback. The Rangers win the series. Kremer, in less than 2 innings pitched, 1.2 to be more specific, 6 earned runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, no strikeouts, and 2 homers on 53 pitches. They put Wells in to try to stop the bleeding, and it worked for about an inning and out. Only registered 1 hit and a strikeout. Gibson comes in to relieve him. 3 innings pitched. He gave up a run, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and 1 hit was a homer. Then you got Hall that relieves him afterwards. 1.2 innings pitched. He allowed 1 hit and had 3 strikeouts. And then Cano at the end only allowed 1 hit to finish off the game for Orioles. In the pitching department for the Rangers, the reason what they didn't show after Eovaldi was pulled was Aroldis Chapman taking the mound in the 8th and having another bad situation where he loaded the bases with 2 outs, and they had to bring Leclerc in to close because Chapman was not doing great again. 1 hit, 2 walks, and a strikeout. But again, the bases were low. Leclerc came in, got them out of the jam. He finishes off the 9th. He goes into the 9th, goes through the whole inning, and the Rangers complete the victory. Top hitters yesterday for the Rangers. We know about Seager. 1 hit in 2 at-bats. He also pulled 2 walks there. Has an RBI and a homer on top of 1 hit. Mitch Garver. 4 at-bats yesterday. He had 2 hits in those at-bats. Both resulted in RBIs here. Adolis Garcia. 2 hits, 4 at-bats. He registered 3 RBIs. One of those hits was a homer, and he struck out twice. Evan Carter, who's been decent this year, registered a hit himself. Everybody on the roster yesterday recorded a hit outside of Taveras, the center fielder. But in terms of another guy who had a good game that's not talked about, Josh Jung, 2 hits and 4 at-bats. Very good game for him, and he also was able to bring in a run. Or he himself scored a run as the runner. Orioles, this is what they were able to do. The only guy, once again, filling my narrative here, that actually hit well in this series was Gunnar Henderson. Again, 3 hits and 4 at-bats. Registered 1 RBI. Rutschman had no hits in 4 at-bats. Santander had 1 hit in 3 at-bats. And a walk. Mountcastle had no hits in 3 at-bats, registered a walk, and struck out twice. O'Hearn registered 1 hit in 3 at-bats. Aaron Hicks came in to pinch hit for him. No hits in 1 at-bat. Austin Hayes, no hits in 4 at-bats and struck out twice. Cedric Mullins, no hits in 4 at-bats. Westberg, 1 hit in 4 at-bats. He ended up being the person who scored a run as well. He ended up being the runner that scored the only run for the Orioles in this game. And he also struck out 3 times after that. Adam Frazier, no hits in 2 at-bats. And they had to put in Jorge Mateo as a pinch hitter for him. And he couldn't register a hit either in his 1 at-bat he had. He actually struck out. So, overall, the pitching was dominant. The bullpen played up to standards for the Rangers. Now they're waiting to see if they're going to be facing Houston or Minnesota in the American League Championship Series. And I'm sure every baseball fan out there wants madness, so they're hoping that Minnesota wins this series somehow. But regardless, we're going to have to find that out tonight when the Houston Astros take on Minnesota Twins in Minnesota, again, FS1, 7:07 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's the update on those 2 specific games. I won't give a preview to anything else. I think maybe I'll do a quick one for the other 2 games that are happening. The NLDS is tonight. Starting at 5:07, you're going to have Atlanta and Philly. And at 9:07 p.m. Eastern on TBS. Both of these games I just mentioned are on TBS. You're going to have the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are in Arizona. Philly is in Philly. And let's go through the pitching matchups. Atlanta still has not decided who is going to pitch tonight. It has still not been announced. Aaron Nola is still confirmed to pitch for Philly. So we're still waiting to find out who is going to be the pitcher for the Braves tonight. If anything, I'll try to go on Twitter real quick and try to find out who's going to be pitching Game 5. I mean, the Braves should have some kind of person designated already. I'm going to check. Here we go. We have it confirmed. It is as I expected As I stated yesterday on the show, Bryce Elder is going to take the mound for the Braves. Had to feel that was the best decision. There wasn't anybody else really in the rotation you could put on that mound for tonight, and you didn't want to put anybody on short rest. So Elder takes the mound against Nola. This one will be a possible upset from Philly. But let's go into more detail as to why. So the Braves are going to have to go with Elder today, which I had a feeling was going to be the case. Nola himself against the Braves so far. I believe we went through this yesterday, but I'll confirm it here. He has not been, his overall average against the team hitting-wise is a 250, which is perfectly fine. But Ronald Acuna himself has faced him 49 times his career. He has a 3.27 average against Nola, which includes 4 homers and 16 hits in 49 at-bats. I'll rephrase it. 4 homers, 5 doubles, and 7 walks, which included 9 RBIs altogether in that group. And that's all from the 16 hits in 49 at-bats he's had. He's also struck out 12 times. Ozzie Albies another one here. 2.54 average against him, but 59 at-bats. 15 hits registered. 3 of those hits were doubles. 1 of those hits was a triple. No homers against him. But he's got 2 RBIs, 4 walks, and 12 strikeouts as well. Orlando Arcia has faced him off a good amount of times. He's got a 105 average. He really struggles against Nola. 2 hits, 19 at-bats. Got an RBI, got a walk, 7 strikeouts. Travis d'Arnaud does not hit very well against Nola. 36 at-bats, he's gotten 6 hits off him. 3 of those were doubles, 2 of those were homers. 3 RBIs total, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. Max Fried is a pitcher. Can't include him here. Vaughn Grissom, he has never recorded a hit against him. Michael Harris, 20 at-bats faced against Nola. He's recorded 4 hits, 1 of them being a double and 2 of them being a homer with 5 RBIs and 6 strikeouts. Nicky Lopez, new to the team, faced Nola a couple times, got a hit and an RBI out of that hit. Sean Murphy, 8 at-bats, but he's got 2 hits out of him. 2 hits and 8 at-bats. One of them was a double. He's also struck out 4 times. Matt Olson, 22 at-bats. He's gotten 5 hits out of him. 2 of them were doubles. 1 of them was a homer. 3 RBIs out of all of them. 4 walks and 6 strikeouts. Marcell Ozuna, 51 at-bats. He had 13 hits in those at-bats. 1 of them was a double. 4 of them were homers. 8 total RBIs, 2 walks, and 18 strikeouts. Kevin Pillar, 9 at-bats. He's got 3 hits, 3 strikeouts. Austin Riley, 54 at-bats against Nola. 21 hits registered. He's probably the best hitter against Nola in the career on this roster. The only man who could probably give a challenge to that is Acuna. But Austin Riley's faced him 54 times, 21 hits in those 54 at-bats. 5 of them being doubles, 5 homers, 9 RBIs total, 3 walks, and 16 strikeouts. And Eddie Rosario, probably the worst one to put up against him. Rosario, 21 at-bats, he's registered 2 hits, 1 double, 2 RBIs, and 9 strikeouts. Again, Nola is going to have some really tough guys to get out. His biggest challenges are, once again, Austin Riley and Ronald Acuna for this game. But don't be surprised if Ozuna gets hot in this one. Same thing goes for Ozzie Albies. Those guys altogether have done a decent job against Nola in their careers, and they faced him plenty enough times to know what to expect at the plate. Can't say the same for Matt Olson, who might go cold here against him. Same can go for Michael Harris. Same can be said also for Travis d'Arnaud. d'Arnaud had a big game a couple nights ago, which I predicted would happen because of the pitcher he was facing. But here, in this case, it's going to be a little different. I think if there's one guy who could possibly get hot tonight, it's probably going to be Ozuna and Riley. Those are probably the main 2. But Acuna is definitely going to do some damage. Maybe Albies too. We'll see how that goes. But that's what it looks like for the Phillies with Nola. Nola's a great pitcher, don't get me wrong. He's not having the best year. 4.46 ERA, 202 strikeouts, and a 1.15 whip. Not his best year, of course. But for the Braves specifically, right? You go through their rotation. Let's go get Bryce Elder's numbers. Elder, specifically. Elder, the righty, has a 3.81 ERA this year. He's been one of the better pitchers in baseball. 1.28 whip, 128 strikeouts, 128 strikeouts, I'm saying. And he's 12-4. He's been really good. He's been better than most people. But here's the thing. He hasn't faced more any of these guys up to 10 times. So his numbers are going to be a little skewed here. I can't go heavily off of that. But if we're going to try, right, in a collective of the entire Phillies career statistics against him, he's only registered 6 hits. Now I'm talking like they probably faced him once or twice, and there's a collective 6 hits registered in 33 at-bats. So a 182 batting average, which is actually insane. So since it's a small sample size, things could change in this game. Easily could go the wrong way. But the only person who seemed to have hit pretty well against him were Alec Boehm, 2 hits and 5 at-bats with an RBI there. Nick Castellanos, who has 2 hits and 5 at-bats, both those hits being homers, 3 RBIs out of those homers, and 2 strikeouts. And the only other guy who registered a hit against him, Brandon Marsh, 2 of 3, facing him with a walk. Everybody else has not registered a hit. Cave, Harper, Realmuto, Schwarber, Stott, Stubbs, Turner, none of them have registered a hit against Bryce Elder this season. So Elder on the mound is probably the smartest decision you can make as a Braves manager. So I'm respecting Snitker on this. I think he's got this figured out. If I'm being honest with you, I think the Braves are winning this game. It's going to be a 2-1 series, folks. Give me the Braves in this one. Elder's going to pitch a gem. 5:07 p.m. Eastern Time, TBS. Dodgers, Diamondbacks. We did already talk about this matchup yesterday. Lynn versus Fad. Fad is going to pitch for the Diamondbacks. We already went through it. I think he's a really good young pitcher. He's got a lot of things on his side in his corner for this game, but I do still think that a 3.81 batting average against the Dodgers lineup this year is not good. But again, small sample size. Under 10 at-bats for all of these guys facing Fad. So to me, I'm going to go lean towards Lynn. I think he's been pitching better with the Dodgers, doing really good with them now, trending in the right direction. Let's have the Dodgers win this game and get back in the series. Dodgers win tonight. They win Game 3. It's going to be a 2-1 series. Game 4, going to have to be against the Diamondbacks. And that would mean they'd have to play again tomorrow, 9:07 p.m. Eastern on TBS. But again, October 11th, today, they're going to have this game 9:07 p.m. Eastern, TBS as well. Of these games, it is more than likely that we are going to do the Atlanta-Philly game today instead of the Houston-Minnesota game. Actually, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the Atlanta-Philly game instead of the Houston-Minnesota. This way, we all get done early. We could all go on with our days that night. Still have some time to go watch the streamers you guys really want to watch and go, be around, be with your family, have some fun, go out with your friends. We'll do a 5:07 stream on for the TBS game, Atlanta versus Philly, Game 3. I wish I could do the Houston and Minnesota game, but I feel like it's better to do Atlanta-Philly so that this way I'm not, throwing everything in your face so quickly. So Atlanta-Philly, 5:07 Eastern, TBS. I'll be live to do that game today. I'll probably be live just before 5 o'clock, so if you guys are going to tune in, just a little warning there. It's going to be a little bit before 5. I'll probably be going live there. So, that's going to do it for the MLB segment. That's going to move us on now to the NHL opening night. NHL kicked off last night. First few games to open up NHL action this year. As you can see in the ticker down below, we had 3 major games here. The Predators took on the Lightning to open up the year. Now, the Lightning are without Vasilevsky, who has an injury at the moment. He missed about a month and a half to 2 months of time. It's a home game. Tampa Bay needs to open up strong against their home crowd. They end up doing that, winning the match 5-3 over the Nashville Predators to get off to a 1-0 start to the year once again. They actually had a very strong game with some good goals coming in. 2 of them from Kucherov and 2 from Nick Paul, actually. Nick Paul, if I'm correct, is only a second-year guy for Tampa Bay. But before that, he spent his whole career with Ottawa dating back to 2015-16. Drafted by Dallas back in 2013. He had a very good game. He had a pair of power play goals. They were both from the power play. And an assist. So he already off to a very hot start. Kucherov as well joining in on that. And the other guy who scored a goal for Tampa Bay was Mr. Brandon Hagel. The 25-year-old from Saskatoon, drafted in the 6th round back in 2016 by Buffalo. This is, if I'm correct, his second season as well with Tampa Bay, after spending the last 3 in Chicago. So Hagel had himself a goal as well. Great way to open up your year. And in the net last night to fill in for the Lightning, knowing that they won't have Vasilevsky for a while, Jonas Johansson. That is the person who had to fill in for him. For those who don't know who Johansson is, Johansson, if I'm correct, was the person who was on the championship-winning Colorado team last year. If I'm right, I believe he was on that team. I think maybe to start the year, but not to finish it. Yeah, I think that's the situation. He was with He started out in Buffalo first couple years back in 2019, 2020. First 2 years in Buffalo. Then was in Colorado the last two. And then now he was with Florida. He finished off with Florida in the season prior, not last year, the season prior, the year that they won the Cup. And then the following season, he went back to Colorado. And obviously they didn't go very far. But Johansson is not a bad goalie. I'm sure he probably still got a ring out of that. So happy for him. Regardless, he was on a championship team before getting traded. Nashville, on the other hand, in those three goals that they were able to score there, Novak scored a goal for them. So Tommy Novak. Novak is the 26-year-old center for the Predators who was drafted in 2015, the third round by Nashville. So he hasn't left Nashville in that time. This is his second. This looks like to be his third season with the team here. We'll see how he does. Now, I'm also going to include in here Ryan O'Reilly, the 32-year-old veteran, who's also a center for the Predators. 2009 draft pick by Colorado in the second round. This is his first year in Nashville after going through a little bit of a journey the last couple years. Started out in Colorado to start his career from 2009 all the way to 15. In 2015, he ended up with Buffalo for a couple years. Went to St. Louis in 2018. In that 18-19 season, he stayed with them for 5 years before making the move to Toronto last offseason. Now he's with Nashville to open up. He registered his first goal of the year as well. Also, big shout out to Parssinen. Parssinen again, Juuso Parssinen. The 22-year-old from Finland, drafted in 2019 in the 7th round by Nashville. He himself got a goal. And this is only his second season starting, or at least being part of this roster with the Predators. So huge credit to him again as well. In the net you had Saros. Saros did not do good in this game. I'm not going to lie to you guys. He definitely struggled against the Lightning. Juuse Saros, 5 goals allowed. Not a great start. Not a start you want to have. 33 shots faced. He allowed 4 goals. That's an .879 save percentage. Got to be a little scared for that. But overall, the guy who did the best yesterday to me was probably... Yeah, I think I could say safely it's probably Ryan O'Reilly had the best game. I could also give a lot of credit to Parssinen. But, Sissons also had a negative there, so he wasn't doing too great. Same goes for Novak. Despite the fact he scored a goal, I think he allowed a couple too. Or he missed a couple shots on top of that. And on the defensive side, one of the assists went to one defenseman. If I'm correct, that is Ryan McDonough who got one as well. It's another veteran. So overall, the Predators didn't play a terrible game. I mean, they were tied going into the third. But the problem was in the third, the Lightning decided to wake up as they always do and start crushing you. In the third period, the Nashville had a very slight lead in the beginning. They came out, scored really quickly to start the third, make it a 2-1 game. And then that was very short-lived because just over 2 minutes later, Nick Paul scores on the power play, ties the game up. And then another 42 seconds later, Hagel comes in with the penalty shot, takes the lead for Tampa Bay at 3-2. 5.5 minutes later, Tommy Novak scores on a power play, ties the game back up at 3. And then with another 2 minutes later, Nick Paul scores another goal on another power play to make it a 4-3 game, and they never looked back. Tampa Bay added a little bit of an insurance goal in the final seconds of the game, an empty netter for Kucherov, making his second goal of the game after scoring the first one to open up the action. So that's pretty much a summary. Lightning still look dominant even though they don't have a goalie right now. So full credit to them for still fighting. Chicago and Pittsburgh, this is a big one you guys wanted to talk about. So let's talk about it. Bedard makes his debut. He was able to pick up an assist, but the bigger story here is the Pittsburgh Penguins actually lost this to the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks actually won this game, surprisingly. I don't know how, but they did. Pittsburgh clearly took more shots, had more hits, had more penalty minutes, but they were unable to make up the ground. The Blackhawks were just able to get the puck in a few more times. That's all it was. Now, if you go to the box score and see who really did the best for the Blackhawks, the first thing that pops up, right? A couple of the guys who scored goals today. Dickinson, who was considered the top star of the game, the center for the Blackhawks, 28 years old, drafted in 2013 to Dallas in the first round, picks up a goal and an assist in his first game with the Hawks this season, and his first in his career with the Hawks. Before the Hawks, he was with Vancouver last season. This is second season with the Hawks. Correction. Second season with the Chicago Blackhawks. But before that, he was with Vancouver back in 2021. And then before that, he had a 6-year tenure with the Dallas Stars. So Dickinson making his presence known as a member of the Blackhawks in his second season with the team. Connor Bedard, 1 assist he had, took 5 shots of his own, but nothing was able to come of it. But still a decent game for the rookie. Another assist came from Andreas Athanasso. Athanasso would be another one. Another veteran of the game. I would say another goal came in from Ryan Donato. Donato, 27 years old, drafted in 2014 to the Bruins in the second round. He's been dealing with a little bit of a groin issue, but he's been fighting through. This is his first season with the Blackhawks. Before then, he was spent 2 years with the Seattle Kraken. And before that, he bounced around a bit. San Jose back in 2020. In 2019 and 18, he was with Minnesota after opening up his career in his first 2 seasons with Boston. Registered his first goal last night as a Blackhawk. Another one who scored, their left wing, Nick Foligno. 35-year-old veteran drafted in 2006 to Ottawa in the first round. He has definitely been the definition of a guy who has been around a bit. Spent his first 5 years in Ottawa dating back to 2007. Then in 2012 he went to Columbus. Spent a long time at Columbus. He's going to be remembered for being in a Blue Jackets uniform. 8 years with Columbus consecutive before going to Toronto in 2020. And then the midpoint of that 2020 season, he goes back to Columbus again. And I guess he finishes out with Columbus, the way it looks. And then 2021, he ends up with Boston. He spends the last 2 years at Boston, and now he's making his first appearance as a Blackhawk. He scores a goal in his debut with the Blackhawks. And another guy who scored, Cole Gutman, I don't know how you're going to pronounce it, but he's another rookie, 24 years old from Northridge, California. Doesn't look like he was a drafted guy, but a rookie nonetheless. He himself is playing his first serious season as a member of this team. He technically appeared in 14 games last season, but he wasn't classified as a rookie then. He's classified as a rookie now. So Gutman getting his first goal. I believe, was that the first goal of his career actually? No, this was his 5th goal. 5th goal of his career as a Blackhawk, but the first of the season for Gutman. And then behind the net yesterday, who really had a big impact on the game, Mrazek had 40 shots faced, and he was only allowed 2 goals. Big game for him. That save percentage was at a .950. Peter Mrazek, great game. 31-year-old veteran, drafted in 2010 to Detroit back in the 5th round. He had himself a heck of a game. If you all don't know where Mrazek is from, this is his 2nd season with the Hawks. Before that, he was with Toronto, then spent 3 years in Carolina. Back in 2017, he was with Philly after starting his career with Detroit for the first 6 seasons. He's been around a little bit ever since, but he himself has been playing lights out to start out. Now the Penguins, because one of them, of course, makes sense. It's Sidney Crosby. But he had a -2, which is not a good sign. The 36-year-old, pretty much surefire Hall of Famer, drafted in 2005 with the #1 overall pick to Pittsburgh, scored a goal in 3 shots, finished with the minus though, which is a little weird. Didn't expect that for a guy like him. But nevertheless, he's been with Pittsburgh his entire career dating back to 2005 and has been unstoppable ever since. Hall of Fame appearance, and not at this point. Nothing could change that, except another guy did score too. Brian Rust, another veteran. 31 years old, 2010, drafted to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 3rd round. So to me, what it looks like is the guys who have been there the longest and have stayed there their whole careers are the ones scoring the goals to open up. So Crosby and Rust each get a goal yesterday, assists from Eller and Gunsel. Rust is the right wing for the Penguins. Defensemen, they were all of them were in the negatives yesterday except for Weddle. Weddle is the only one who wasn't in the negative, the 33-year-old vet in his 11th season, now with the Penguins. And the person who really surprised me is not doing the best, Tristan Jarry. Tristan Jarry yesterday faced on 35 shots, allowed 3 goals, which puts him at a .914 save percentage. Again, not a bad save percentage, but to open a season against the Blackhawks who were so bad last year, it makes sense. I guess it makes sense. But Jarry himself, he didn't get credit for the 4th goal because it was an empty net, so it doesn't go against him. But regardless, some moves yesterday were a little questionable, and I'm shocked to see that the Blackhawks were able to pull off the win. Penguins going to take their first loss of the year. Blackhawks opening up with the victory. Big win for Chicago. And now that brings us to the final game of yesterday. Seattle and Vegas. The Kraken and the Golden Knights. Great game from Adin Hill. I want to make that very clear. Adin Hill had a phenomenal game behind the net. Only allowed 1 goal to Seattle. The same can also be said for 2 other Vegas players. That's Chandler Stevenson and Ivan Barbashev. Seattle, more shots on goal, more shots taken yesterday. Less hits, less penalty minutes. And yet they still lost. The face-off percentage was key there. 60% of the face-offs were won by Vegas. Let's go through the box score, shall we? The only man to record a goal yesterday was McCann. Jared McCann was the only man to score a goal for the Seattle yesterday. Drafted in 2014 to Vancouver in the 1st round. The 27-year-old from Stratford, Ontario. Off to a good start. He has been with Seattle since the creation of the franchise just a few years back. But before that, he spent 2 years in Pittsburgh from 1920 to 2021. And then at one point, he was with Florida for 3 years before getting a trade to Pittsburgh. He was traded to Pittsburgh after a 3-year stint with Florida, and he opened up his career with Vancouver back in 2015. Now let's take a look at some other guys who really did okay yesterday for the Kraken. I mean, there's a good amount of negatives in here, but let's give credit to the guys who aren't in the negatives. Tolvanen was not in the negatives yesterday. Eli Tolvanen had a decent game as well. 24-year-old from Finland, drafted in the 1st round by Nashville back in 2017. Another guy to give credit to, Yamamoto. Kyler Yamamoto. 2017, drafted 1st round by Edmonton, 25 years old from Spokane, Washington. Had a good game as well. Let's also give some credit out to Yanni Gourde. I never thought I'd be saying that, but I'm saying it. Yanni Gourde had himself a good game as well. 31 years old from St. Narcisse. His 8th season now in the league. He spent 6 years of his career in Tampa Bay to open up from 2015 to 2021 and ended up with Seattle after the franchise went to do their expansion draft and took Yanni Gourde. Everybody else is pretty much in the negatives the rest of the game. Oh, forgot one more. Bjorkstrand. Bjorkstrand is the other one. 28 years old from Denmark. 2013 drafted in the 3rd round by Columbus. Everybody else was in the negative. That includes Beniers, Burakovsky, Eberle, Schwartz, Tanev, Wenberg, Dumoulin, Dunn, Larson, Schultz. They were all in the negatives yesterday. I also forgot a couple more guys. Alexiak, of course, was in the positive. I mean, that's the good thing. The other defenseman that was actually in the not in the positive, but wasn't negative either. Will Borgen. Will Borgen actually was not in the negative yesterday. 26-year-old drafted in 2015 in the 4th round to Buffalo. So more interesting things popping up every moment. Philip Grubauer was behind the net for the Kraken, and he definitely did not do great either. 27 attempts on goal. He allowed 3 of those goals, saved 24 of those shots. That puts him at an .889 save percentage. Not a good showing for Grubauer. And for Vegas, we talked about the couple guys who did pretty good, but some other goals that came in we didn't mention. Eichel scored a goal. Barbashev did score a goal. Marchessault scored a goal. And Stevenson scored a goal. Stevenson did win first star of the game because he also registered an assist on that. But also credit to Mark Stone, who also had 2 assists, even though he didn't score a goal. A couple other guys who got assists there includes Howden and McNabb, the defenseman. Overall, everybody pretty much had a good game. And the positives, again, you have Carlson, Howden, Eichel, Coulter, Marchessault, and it looks like Stevenson and Stone. And on the defensive side, you have Hutton, McNabb, and Theodore as the main guys who are all in the positive. Aiden Hill, though, is the main star to me. 33 shots faced. He allowed 1 goal, 32 saves total. That's a .970 save percentage. Good game for him, especially against a team that went so far last year in the Seattle Kraken. Big, big win for them. So very happy for Vegas. Good win. Big-time victory. Seattle takes a rough loss to open the year, and that's it for hockey. Tonight, there are other games going on. I'm going to give you guys a little lowdown on that because I do have it on the ticker, but I'm going to remind all of you guys again. Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs, 7 o'clock Eastern, ESPN+. Ottawa, Carolina, the Senators versus the Hurricanes, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern again on ESPN Plus or NHL Power Play. 7:30 Eastern, Chicago, Boston, TNT. 10 o'clock Eastern, Winnipeg, Calgary, Jets, Flames. It's going to be on Power Play and ESPN Plus. 10 o'clock as well, Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. ESPN Plus, NHL Power Play. And at 10 o'clock as well, the last game of the night, the Colorado Avalanche and the LA Kings on TNT. That'll follow the Chicago-Boston game. So a good night for hockey tonight. 6 games to watch. If you got ESPN Plus, you're going to enjoy 4 different games. If you got TNT, you're going to be watching Chicago, Boston, Colorado, Los Angeles. So let's see if you guys enjoy that. The Falcons made a major trade yesterday, and they got another wide receiver to try and offset the problems going on overall for their group. So I'll give you guys a little bit of an update on that specifically. So Van Jefferson did not play in the most recent game for Los Angeles. But it's important to note this part of the deal. The Falcons gave back a 2025 6th-round pick to the Rams for a 7th-round selection in that same year, as well as Van Jefferson. Now, in his 4th season out of Florida, Jefferson so far has 8 catches for 108 yards, no touchdowns. 6'1", 200 pounds. He played 49 games for Los Angeles and made 30 starts. Best year, of course, coming in the year they made their Super Bowl run back in 2021. He started every game and had career highs in targets, catches, yards, and touchdowns. That's 89 targets, which resulted in 50 catches for 802 yards and 6 touchdowns. Since then, he struggled to secure a substantial role this season because of the emergence of rookie star Puka Nacua and third-year receiver Tutu Atwell. So because those two have done so well, Van Jefferson was the odd man out, and so they've decided to trade him and give him a better opportunity to go play somewhere else where he can start and get some minutes and show the world why he is a good receiver. I mean, the biggest example was in that Philly game, why he needed to be traded. He was on the field for just 2 offensive snaps. And all because Cooper Kupp had returned from injured reserve. So now you have Kupp, Nacua, and Atwell. There's no need for Jefferson at that point. Jefferson deserves to be a starter somewhere. So going to Atlanta was the best opportunity. Him, London, and Mac Hollins immediately makes a good core 3 for a receiving group. It's a solid 3. But Ritter needs to make sure he throws to them as well. I can't say that enough. So that's another offensive option for the Falcons and for second-year quarterback Ritter. Ritter just had the best game of his career. So we're waiting to see how that holds moving forward. Can he continue to improve now that he's getting another receiver to help him improve and continue to get better? With the late-round pick swap, it was definitely a low-risk, potentially high-reward move for Atlanta. You didn't lose much, but you could potentially gain a lot by having Van Jefferson there to make things competitive for the Falcons and help Ritter out. It's basically similar to that trade they made with New England to get Jonnu Smith over there in March. And Smith now leads the Falcons in receiving yards at 246 and is now tied with Bijan Robinson, the running back, the rookie, for the team lead in receptions at 21. They also have tight end Kyle Pitts, their 21 first-round pick, as a receiving target as well. Jefferson and Pitts were teammates at Florida for 2 seasons. So, a lot of things positive to look at here for Atlanta. The Rams don't lose much, honestly. I mean, it sucks to lose a receiver like him, but there was no need for him. He wasn't going to start, and he deserved to start, and you felt it was best to put him in a situation where he could start. And honestly, the Falcons were the best opportunity they had, and that was it right there. So they pulled off the trade. Low risk for Atlanta to give up some low picks. Potentially high reward if things go severely in a positive direction, which is what they want. So let's see how that goes. I'm pretty sure it's going to be fine, but we're yet to see. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now let's also add in here one other thing. The Falcons' passing attack has been the biggest question because Ritter has not been looking great because he's not getting the time to throw. He's making bad decisions. He doesn't look great coming out of his hand. But now with Jefferson, maybe things could change. Maybe he could open up the offense. We'll see. A lot of optimism there. But you still got to get through Tampa Bay in the division. You're not far behind them, but you got to stay competitive. 3-2 record right now is really good for Atlanta. We'll see how much more damage they can do. So again, very optimistic. Good decision for Atlanta. Let's hope and see it pays off for them. And that brings us to our final topic of the day before we can sign off here. WWE NXT last night had some big moments. And what I mean by big moments is pretty simple. So they were definitely offended by the fact that AEW was becoming a problem. That they're making big signings, be competing at the level of WWE. So Triple H pulled a Vince McMahon and decided to flex his muscles. And Shawn Michaels agreed with him on the idea. So now Shawn Michaels puts on the show of his career yesterday. NXT decided to compete with Dynamite this week. And the way they did it was to bolster up their star roster. What do I mean by that? Well, in the corners for the Carmelo Hayes-Braun Breaker match were John Cena and Paul Heyman, which is crazy because John Cena right now is a part-timer. He's a temporary full-timer. And Heyman is specifically the Bloodline. And Bloodline has no affiliation with the NXT. And now they're in NXT. Phenomenal match, great storyline, everything. They had John chase off Solo Sikoa, big thing. Carmelo gets the win. As a sore loser he is, Braun Breaker interferes, and he decides to start attacking Hayes, despite the fact he just lost. Calls himself the biggest badass in wrestling, and he's the only badass. And then the bell tolls. And when the bell tolls, somebody appears. We all know what happens when the bell tolls. It was easily one of the most unforgettable moments you'll probably see ever in NXT. He has never made an appearance there, and he just did last night. He's also known as the baddest of them all. I will show you guys in a moment. I'm probably going to get kicked off of YouTube for this, but I don't care. It needs to be shown. I'm about to get kicked off of YouTube, so be prepared, guys.
Win or lose, there's only one badass in all of WWE.
It's the arrival of Undertaker. Undertaker arrived on NXT last night, the WWE Hall of Famer. That just doesn't happen every day, folks. Don't ever forget that. It just doesn't happen every day. So enjoy it while you got it. Great moment there. They got it in NXT. The pop was insane. But that's what I'm talking about. They went all out last night to prove a point that AEW has a long way to go. They don't have the veteran group yet to be able to pull that kind of stuff off. They got a long ways to go. But again, I mean, this is what they asked for. They're trying to start a war, and they're not going to win the war. NXT had definitely better ratings and viewership than they did last night. And the matches were better. The pub match that they did, the pub brawl, dude, they were throwing darts into their hands. Like, come on. It was crazy. Throwing popcorn, throwing people through tables again, breaking people with beer stuff. It was unbelievable. They went all out just to prove a point that says you guys are nowhere near where we are. We have the history of the decades of history supporting us. No chance you have the veteran group we got, the alumni group we have. You 100% are not competing with us at the moment. Basically saying you're not on my level. You're not even on the level of our third brand. Our third brand just showed you out. Because they bragged about the fact that they had higher ratings one week than NXT did. So now NXT had to prove a point. They also had Asuka come in, who's probably going to be a Hall of Famer in her own right. Becky Lynch has a title currently right now down there after she's one of the greatest women's champions you'll see coming from NXT. One of the biggest success stories. You saw Rhea Ripley down there, who's the women's world champion right now. And Cody Rhodes was the special GM last night. So again, everything was working in the right direction. He brought back a couple big matches that are going to do some championships. I'm excited. Again, I'm not a person to watch NXT ever. But last night, that was pretty impressive. And the matches were good. I mean, I had an issue a little bit with Dragunov's match. I mean, him against Dom. I'm telling you, I don't like Dominic as a wrestler. Maybe it's just me, but Dom Mysterio, really, his moves are terrible. He moves very slow. I love for him to move a little faster. He tries to act like a big high flyer, and he really isn't a high flyer. He's not. He moves pretty slow, and he needs to up that speed up, especially for a young guy like him. Yeah, he's got to be faster with his moves. But again, nevertheless, the other thing I was talking about with the guys popping in out of nowhere last night in the madness was the Judgment Day, as always, making an appearance in full force. Finn Balor coming out to try and support and interrupt the match and mess with Mr. Dragunov. But their special guest referee for the match definitely wouldn't let that happen. Yeah, LA Knight was the special guest referee for the match as appointed by American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. And he interfered and took out the main guys. So you're talking he took out Balor. You had JD McDonough trying to come in the ring and interfere. Dragunov takes him out. LA Knight helps him out to make sure that there's no interference in the match. Takes out the Judgment Day. Dragunov comes through, makes a big time move hit on and takes him out, and he retains his title. But also we had Rhea Ripley trying to interfere and trying to come in and hit him with the belt. And right before she could hit him with the belt, she got pulled off her feet and was being carried by Trick Williams, who was smiling and making a joke out of the whole thing. And she's like yelling at him and all that. And in the meantime, Dragunov comes through, nails the hit, gets the pin, 1, 2, 3, match over. He retains his belt. So Dom loses, keeps his North American title, but doesn't get the NXT championship. Because again, they have to have contingencies in place so that Judgment Day doesn't manipulate the outcomes. Because they always try to do that in the numbers game. Just like the Bloodline did. So again, good. It was definitely a really good show. I didn't expect any of that. I mean, really, I didn't expect them to come out full force and try to, flex how deep their alumni group is and how strong of a group they are. So, full shout out to everything they did. Phenomenal show last night. They really proved themselves. Got to give them full credit. They really did good. Shawn Michaels and Triple H are deep in their bags right now trying to prove a point that they are not some kind of pushover. They really are a good group. Like, you can't sit here and attack the WWE and not expect a response. And AEW got hit with the response. Last night, they had the debut of Edge in his first match. He did his first match last night against Luchasaurus. People completely forgot about that. Saraya dropped her belt last night. So many things happened in AEW, but it all got overlooked by the fact that WWE had so much talent there. It just tells you by notoriety and talent's sake, more people are going to watch WWE than AEW. They get more impressive stuff out of it. I like the 90s feel to it, that old-time feel that they have in the AEW. That 90s unfiltered content, Attitude Era type of feel, but they don't have that in WWE, but it doesn't take away from what WWE has, which is talented wrestlers and great scripting and good storylines. That's what it is. AEW doesn't have that. The best thing they got going right now is what they're trying to do now with Edge and Christian. That's it. It's because it took Edge coming to the company to make that happen. Everything else, the women's division is becoming a joke. You're seeing an issue with the tag belts. I'm seeing an issue with the trios belt. I mean, there's just so much that they have that mean absolutely nothing. Because the storylines don't make sense. It's usually yeah, I run this, and then somebody else comes out like, no, I run this. Okay, let's have a match and see who really runs this. And then it repeats again, the same cycle. It's getting annoying. It's like they can't. It's like booking in a game. It's not actually building a story. It's like you're booking in a game, in a universe game. It's very dumb and stupid. But that's NXT last night. A lot of madness, a lot of craziness. Drove everything out the window. Very happy with the way it went. I had to cover it because it's just. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, you're bringing out Undertaker. You're bringing out Cena. You're bringing out Paul Heyman. There's just so many people. I'm sorry. I had to cover it. I didn't plan on it, but we had to. But that's it for this show, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. We're done right around 12 o'clock now, thank goodness. So, if you guys liked what you see and you want to see more episodes, we're going to be doing another show tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, here on Twitch. Once again, my name is Brian Mansell, and this has been the Brian Mansell Show. If you're tuning in here on YouTube, please feel free. Please consider giving us If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing on YouTube to keep up with all the new content we're coming up and our live streams that we have coming in every single week, every single morning. And if you're new to us on Twitch, please consider giving the page a follow. We don't do subscriptions. We don't like taking money from people. It's not. We shouldn't want you guys to have to give us money in order to pay and have the content experience that you want. So, thank you all again for tuning in. Please give us a follow if you're on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, please consider subscribing. And we'll be back tomorrow morning with some more content, more talk. Hopefully, we'll get some more baseball to talk about. But until then, thank you all so much. Have a great day. And we'll be back later today for the baseball stream for the Atlanta Braves and the Philadelphia Phillies Game 3 NLDS. You don't want to miss that. Trust me.